Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope your day is going great. If it's not going great, maybe we can boost you up a little bit with this video. It's going to be a fun sort of makeup try-on session. Some things I have not used at all. It's going to be a real just first time testing it out. Some things are just on the newer end of my makeup spectrum right now. And I'm not one who really loves the whole first impression idea. I mean, it's kind of entertaining to watch somebody test something for the first time, but I do prefer to come at you with some useful information when I can. But in situations where it has been my first time trying a product in this video, let me know if you want to follow up, if you want a full review. I welcome any and all requests to bring you more in the future. So here's the first thing I'm going to use. I'm going to pick up my Laneige Glowy Makeup Serum, and I already have moisturized and sunscreened, and this is one of those things that I got in that Sephora, you know, we did the $1,000 fantasy basket and then we tapered that down a little bit to what we would actually buy, and this was one of the things I actually got. And I've been playing with it some, and I sort of want to eventually do like that little half and half face wear time test. But I feel like it has been nice for me thus far as just a primer. It adds a little moisture to the skin, but not too much. It keeps a little bit of tackiness after you've blended it in, and I think that might be just like a makeup grabbing kind of thing. Almost like some of those gripping primers we hear about, you know? And the bottle couldn't be more beautiful. I mean, who doesn't want that sitting out on their vanity, like just visible every day? Love that. Now for the foundation, this is a first timer here. I just got this in the mail and I really want to test it out. It is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation, and they sent me a lovely little like range of minis so I could hone in on my exact shade, and then they sent me a full size also of light 40N. I guess this is what they estimate to be my shade, so we're just going to take a leap of faith here and see if what they gave me in the full size will actually work. But we have a pump. Previously, if the thought of Pretty Fresh sounds familiar, they do have a tinted moisturizer that's very, very, you know, light coverage. I'm going to pump out about that much. Dab this on. This may work, might verge on a little light, but we'll make it go. I felt like I gave it 1.5, almost 2 pumps, and that feels like kind of a lot on my skin right now. Anybody else generally overdo it when it comes to the first time they use a new product? They just apply a little too much at the get-go. Oh, I wasn't quite expecting this coverage. I feel like it's even doing a little something for under-eye darkness just a bit, and the shade actually is appearing to be pretty on point as it shears out on my skin. Seeming really medium coverage to me. Do you ever notice areas on your skin where you've put on too much foundation and then you can practically see like the little brush fiber strokes going through that area because there was just a little too much there? I'm having a little bit of that, so I'm needing to really go around and make the effort to press that in. I would probably stick to only 1 pump going forward. I don't know that I thought I needed extra. It kind of is reminding me of that finish that I get from that L'Oreal Visible Lift that I was just recently talking about, where you don't feel like your skin is really, really like shiny glowy, but there's a very subtle, just like kind of skin-like sheen to it. But at a glance you might think, well, I feel a little mattified. I look at my nose and I know what my nose looks like when it's really shining, you know? And right now it feels like, okay, it's covered, it's sort of matte, but the overall sheen to the skin, there's just a little bit of that. Texture-wise, feels definitely kind of dewy as I touch it, not like outrageously sticky, but you know, you touch your skin, you can really feel like there's some product there. Ooh, I forgot one place. If you ever feel like you have applied too much foundation, really pay attention to the area around like the inner part of your brow. Sometimes you might not think, oh, I need to really blend over that and make sure there's not too much excess there, but that area always like shows it off to me later in the day if something's about to look cakey. So, okay, I think we're good. Now I want to pair with that just the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Concealer that ColourPop has had out for some time, and I've used this and liked this. I have it in the shade Light 33C, so we can just pop some of this on. I remember being really pleasantly surprised by this product because I didn't love so much just their standard concealer. Like the first concealer they came out with, I thought it was a little drying on me, but this worked a lot better. So I'm dabbing it around, not too much, but as you can see, I think this tone is gonna brighten me. And then I love taking my Real Techniques. This is my little highlighter brush. It was in a duo of highlighter brushes, but it could not be more perfect for kind of buffing out, stamping in that concealer. Really nice and brightening. Thank you to those of you who have been keeping me in your thoughts regarding my lack of sleep lately and trying to get through this teething phase with Lil Rhett. He has been doing a little bit better over about the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 days time. I don't want to jinx anything, but I feel like he's just maybe not been quite as affected by it here these last few days. So that's made the nighttime feedings just a little bit easier and a little less lengthy and drawn out, you know. So here I am with that concealer on. I feel like it did really nicely on any under eye darkness. I've got kind of a little melasma that I can still see over here in particular. I'm going to see if I can build just a bit to help that. As much as I dislike melasma, it really is a fabulous concealer test. I think I've said this before, but that's God's little concealer barometer on my skin. That's the positive way to look at things. Okay, just stamp it over it. Really try to get maximum coverage. That's about as good as it's gonna do. It's not the highest coverage concealer I've ever tried, but if you like ColourPop and you want something that's not gonna make you look too dried out, it's pretty good. I would say not quite the moisture level of the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. I mean, what do you guys think? These two together do look pretty on the skin though, like I'm just enjoying the overall finish. Okay, pop those into my little basket. And then I've got my CoverGirl Clean Fresh powder, which I've been playing with most days lately in the shade Light. It seems like just such a typical powder to me. You know, I touch it and it's not really got that like smooth butteriness of L'Oreal True Match, so I don't really feel like I'm loving it as much as that. Let's see, I'm gonna use my BK Beauty 107 here and just dab some of this around the nose. Maybe you can see like it's really gonna mattify me, and it doesn't look too heavy. I don't completely dislike it. I just really love the smoothness of L'Oreal True Match and how that powder can practically be a powder foundation because it just transfers off of the pan and onto the brush and onto the skin so fully, you know? This is just more of like a little lightweight, might keep it in my purse if I want a compact, you know, touch-up powder. It does come with one of these little guys. But as I'm using it here at the desk, I'm just dabbing it on with a brush. See what I mean? It made me just a little more matte. Didn't really add a whole lot of extra coverage. Honestly, the skin's looking a little more heavy now because of this, but I kind of wanted to equalize the feel of everything because it does feel a little dewy. Still does, honestly. But how nice do these look together? Can I do a little flat lay of some pretty pink products? Busting out a Precious Moments mug on you here. Yeah, I've had this for like forever. Emily, enthusiastic, merry, imaginative, lively, and youthful. Love a mug that can provide some nice compliments to me, right? Well, we're going from pretty pink stuff to some pretty bronze stuff now. I've had a few go-rounds with the Natasha Denona bronze palette. As you can see, it's got my fingerprints all over it. And then there's also the Bronze Cheek Face Glow palette. Let's kind of play around with this because I haven't honestly done too much with it so far. They've got cream products up under this window. So let's see there. There's a Bounce Cream Glow and there's a Bounce Cream Blush, which looks very, very beigey light tan. I want to investigate that a little bit more. There's a Super Glow Bronze, and this is a very orangey looking bronzer on a swatch, and then Super Glow Nude, which would be like a goldeny looking highlight. So wow, let's just give this a good honest shot and see what happens. I guess let's start with the Super Glow Bronze. We're going to use this same 107 brush that I really think is one of the most versatile brushes. It's from BK Beauty. Okay, that was the thing that swatched like orange, like a pumpkin. It's so hard to tell with face products because they sheer out so much once they get on your skin, you know? We finished Schitt's Creek and I miss it. Ugh, I miss it so much. It's like just a nice little bright spot in the evening, you know, to turn that on. And it started out really just funny for me, but it became so heartwarming and I became so tied to these characters. Gosh, I love it so much. There's just nothing quite like that show. I would really recommend it if you're looking for something to just really warm your heart and give you some really good laughs as well. Okay, so that sheers out way prettier than you might anticipate judging by the swatch. Let's see if we can even sheer it out on this level, you know, like down in this zone. Rarely would I think a product that orangey and that shimmery could play nicely down in here, but it kind of is, honestly. Okay. Just buff. The story of this shade is, I think, buffing, buffing, buffing. Not a heavy, thick application because it's borderline up here on the forehead. It's got so much glow to it, it's kind of saying, hey, look at this line, look at this line, look at this line. So that I don't love about it, but it just wouldn't make sense that they would put out a bronzy palette and there wouldn't be like something kind of deep that you could do bronzer-ish things with, you know? So that seems to be the one. I'll stop there. I'll stop there. We need to try this Bounce Cream Blush and see if this actually can do anything nice and blushy for me. Given the texture of these creams, they're not like goopy whatsoever. They're very firm. I'm thinking a brush like this, the Sephora Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush. I'm just gonna dip directly into it. Kind of a tan yellowiness. May still have enough pigment to work in this manner. You see what I mean? Are you picking up on kind of a golden peach vibe out of this? I'm not sure rich skin tones would see this as much of a blush because it's kind of barely there on me, but it's kind of pretty. I think I can embrace this, and I think I'm liking the bronzy tones with the olive shirt, right? And the amber necklace. Now I'm gonna sort of clean off my brush in the most sophisticated clean off fashion one can use, and then I'm gonna go into the Bounce Cream Glow. A little bit of that. Pretty subtle. Even to swatch that, that's a pretty subtle glow. Maybe let's go straight from the finger. That's an interesting shade because it actually hits a little bit pink. It's kind of like a golden pink iridescent type cream highlight there. Okay, gonna leave that there, and then we must finish off with the Super Glow Nude, as it's called. So this would be a powder highlight. It looked gold in the swatch, like a soft gold. Let's pick some up, tap it off. We're trying to get some glow. We're not trying to go too crazy because we just don't want our skin to scream texture at us, but that's pretty. Yay for this shield, because as I tap off excess, it's going all over the place. I was worried maybe that might be a tinge dark on me, but I've really made the effort to brighten nicely with my concealer, and this seems to be working. And then just teeniest bit up here, we're already kind of glowy there. Okay. I'm just kind of amazed, honestly, given the fact that I used this shade and I used a decent amount of it. I'm surprised that I'm not more orange. So in that sense, I guess I'm pleased with the overall effect. I'm kind of surprised that the Bounce Cream Blush isn't a little more blushy, a little bit deeper perhaps. But hey, we get what we get. I'm gonna stop there on face color. And I am going to give myself a lovely, refreshing Fruit Fetish Make It Last Mist from Milani. Love this kiwi watermelon scent. Like I said, I'd like to drink this. Somebody informed me there's a delicious watermelon flavor of Kool-Aid I could mix up for myself. That kind of helped, okay? That did a little something for powdery finishes, the major powdery effect of that pressed powder. Oh dang, I do have one other thing. Oh, I wanted to use this Rimmel Jelly Blush. I got this in my recent Walmart pickup order. Melon Madness, I really wanted to try these. This is a very interesting texture. You touch it, it feels like wet to the touch. It actually does feel like Jell-O if it just transferred off a little bit of color on your skin. I gotta do this, guys. Let's dab a little on. Really haven't played with this yet. This is a nice level of glow. Nice level of pigment too. And it's interesting how you get enough color merely, like, not really digging your finger in, even though you want to like squish into it. You just tap the surface and your finger ends up with, you know, a good amount of color. I really didn't need to add more, but it's just fun. That's a fun texture. I'm thinking about doing a video. I believe I've done one before, but maybe we need an update on some mood boosting makeup, you know, things to use that just kind of make you smile, make you happy. That's pretty. Okay. Blush itch is scratched. Now we need to do brows, and I don't necessarily have anything super new where this is concerned. I think we're just gonna do e.l.f. Instant Lift because it's handy. It's here. It's ready and waiting. It's saying, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Oh, by the way, I've recently gotten into, because we have these Alexa, oh, I wasn't talking to you, oh, these Echo shows around, and they will play Amazon Music. So you sign up for something, I don't know, Bub kind of did it. Sign up for Amazon Music and it'll like play your playlist. So I'm kind of realizing how much I love Amazon Music. They have these pre-done playlists, like Grill and Chill is nice, you know, being out by the pool, doing a little grilling, doing a little chilling. And then last night we got going on the Garth Brooks playlist, and my gosh, was that fun. Girls are having dinner. I'm actually performing a Garth Brooks concert for them. Maybe I need to go live during some of those moments. Maybe I need to turn on Instagram Live up in the corner of the room. Honestly, I don't know if I'd be able to recover after that kind of exposure online. I'm not prepared for the feedback. All right, so there's my e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow. In case you're not familiar with this, this is thicker than a skinny pencil, not as thick as some of those real chunky kind of formed, you got eyebrow pencils anymore that are shaped like a chocolate bar, they're shaped like a star, they're shaped like a triangle. I may be exaggerating on some of those points, but this is a very standard, retractable, mid-sized pencil that gets the job done in the brows for me pretty quickly. Then I'm poised to take my Almay Brow Styler and just take her on through. This I like for hold and a very minimal application of product. It doesn't like stick as much stuff in my brows as the Glossier Boy Brow or even the M Cosmetics Micro Fluff. Now there's one way to get ready for a new eye palette, and that's Milani Eyeshadow Primer. We just take some of this. Do I ever like not have a Milani eyeshadow primer tube that looks like this? It's always so squeezed in, and then you continue using it forever because even though it's gotten this squeezed, you keep having product to use. Just keeps coming and coming despite what you would expect. Just keeps coming. It's like the toothpaste tube that you can just keep squeezing a little more out of. It's like with the girls right now, they've got this Moana toothpaste, and I don't think anybody wants the tube to be done because it's got Moana on it, and it looks like it is on its last legs, but yet every time I can still get a little more out. And now I've got that song going through my head. Put me in, coach. I think that was on the Grillin' and Chillin' playlist, perhaps. So if you want to just see yourself completely bronze, you could use the front of this as a mirror, but this is the Natasha Denona Bronze Palette. And there are some shades in here I absolutely love. I have used this, I want to say two or three times already. I try to remember to take pictures of the looks I've done, so if I can dig those up and identify that it was this palette, and I'll pop those in here. Immediately I can tell you I love the mattes and I love the range of mattes in here. We're talking about like this kind of peachy color, a little bit honey mustard, a really like soft kind of creamy peach down in here. This shade called Suntan up here, very nice tone of brown, and then this reddish brown, magma. Loving that kind of a tone in here. Now, as far as the shimmers, I was swatching these out on my arm just to see like how close really are these. There's a lot of closeness. If you're an absolute bronze lover, like you just completely love that bronzy aesthetic, you may appreciate the subtle differences and be like, give me every bronze coppery shade possible, golden shade, you know, whatever. Some I feel like lay down a little more fully than others. Some, like this shade called Bliss, for example, it seems like a little bit of like a color twister, you know what I mean? It can look golden, it can look a little bit pink actually. So I'm not calling those kinds of shades inadequate in any way, but like they will appear softer in your swatch, and they may be more for the purposes of layering up and getting a little different look. But there's kind of a lot of closeness, you know, going on here. We've got this shimmery shade up at the top, Deep Dive, and it's actually a really deep plum, like a black plum. If you shear it out enough, you can see that there truly is it's rooted in plum. But I've used that with like a fine angled brush to use it as eyeliner. I have not used rhodium yet. And this is kind of the little black sheep of the palette, you know, like it's a little bit different from all of these other things. It's giving me a little bit of a dusty purple look as it shears out. So in some ways, an intriguing, interesting palette. In some ways, I kind of look at it and I'm like, you know, you could probably get by with not that many tones of bronze and gold and still be very satisfied with something. But I want to work with some of these mattes and kind of show you what we get with that. I want to go into Ridge first, which is this beautiful matte mustardy color. We're just going to take that straight to the crease And I like the pigment of these mattes. I just like their different tones. They look good on my eyes. I could do a fully matte look with this palette and actually be satisfied, even though there's a ton of glitzy shimmer. You know, the mattes really are nice. See, that's pretty. That's a fun tone. It's a little more yellowy than a lot of your standard medium browns you might toss in there. Okay, so there we go, just very effortlessly, like I would usually do, you know, dabbing that throughout the crease, trying to get it really inward too, so we can just take advantage of the whole little rainbow of color right there. Like rainbow shape, you know what I mean? Like burnt to burnt. What am I even saying? Okay, now I want to go down to Beach, which is this, some kind of soft peach. Let's grab that and let that fade out our edge. You don't have anything really like a light champagne shimmer in this palette, or like a very light cream, but I think that lends itself to being a little more, you know, not too bright, a little more down and dirty. Like your blended out color may be beach in here, and it's just gonna still keep the palette kind of, you know, rich. I'm just gonna blend over everything I've done there now with a Sigma E40. Any kind of blending brush you like would do. And just let that get all like completely merged and very, very, you know, buffed out. And it's really just, guys, it's reaching my eyebrow. I'm using my space. Some of you lecture me, use your space. I'm sure you don't sound like that, but that's sometimes the way it comes across. So I'm trying to use it. I'm dying to use rhodium, but I'm just not sure how, like in what manner. Maybe I just start going all over the lid. Murky Plum. That's what it is. I'm building it up a little. That nice feeling when you hear the trash man coming down your street and you remembered to get those cans out there. Or you remembered to remind somebody else to do it. Thank you, bub. Okay, so I've patted that rhodium shade over most of the lid. I've kept a little space here in the inside to do something else. It's kind of neat. It's kind of an interesting shade. I was just a little scared, like I didn't know how it would mesh. I've gone and gotten a little bit of fallout here. Seems to be able to be dusted away. And what I kind of think I'd like to do now, because the crease, I want more happening there. I want to go into Magma with a small crease brush. This is that small pointed eyeshadow brush from Profusion, and I get some of Magma on there. And I think that may be a pretty way to combine this plum with the honey mustard warmth. I'll probably blend that out a little bit more, but that's kind of nice, isn't it? I don't know. Now a little buff the edge, a little bit of buffing. Little blending. Yeah, that looks nice. That was actually a really good way, I think, to merge the tones. You know what this kind of eye look reminds me of? We talk a lot about sunset eyes and the way, you know, different palettes can really reflect a bright, beautiful looking sunset in the sky, but this is like it's all about to go down. You're seeing silhouettes of trees. You're not just seeing this bright world and this bright sun, but you're seeing everything just starting to get very dusky, but still some warmth peeks out. That's the story of this eye look. Oh my gosh, there's actually a shade called Sundown, and that's the one I was about to reach for. Am I working in harmony with this palette or what? I'm taking a really light brush here. This is the Wispy White E36 from Sigma. I've called it that for years. It's been its nickname for years. Yeah, I don't only nickname children and pets. I also nickname my special brushes. What do you think? I'm pleased. Now, what do we want to do on the inside here? I mentioned how Bliss is kind of a unique shade. It sort of goes a little bit more pinky. I wonder... Yeah, well, it's looking a little more golden now as I say that. It could go either way. I'm just going to tap that right in there. Oh, the sparkle in it is so fine, though. I don't know if you can tell how fine that is. That is not chunky at all. That's much more interesting than I gave it credit for. Maybe a more pinkiness would come out just depending on what type of thing it's overlapping. Like I'd like to see that shade overlapping maybe High Degree or Magma or Suntan, and maybe that would bring out a little bit more pinkness. But right now it's kind of trying to stand in there strong to its golden quality, at least in person for me. I'm going to take my ABH pencil, the one that I always use for highlighting, and just let myself have that little brightness around the inner corner. And then I'm also going to brighten right here. I've got a fun, very themed out video planned for you soon, by the way. I'm so excited. I've already picked all the products I want to use. It's going to be really good. Here's where we're at, friends. Do I want to do anything? I think we owe it to ourselves to apply a little something to that lower lash line. Let's take Rhodium. We're just going straight in with that little brush, the little Profusion one. Just let it get a little smoky there. This is our dusky. The sun is almost set. This is a palette where, you know, it came in PR. I really don't think I would have purchased this. Like, it's pretty and it's up my alley, but at a glance, like seeing it on the websites and stuff, I just didn't really think like, my gosh, I need that. And I'm still not convinced that I totally needed it. Like I think about some of these beautiful mattes and I think, well, I've got beautiful mattes in those kinds of tones in my, let's say, Viseart palettes or really a lot of other warm palettes that are out there. But I think maybe for a bronze enthusiast who's like, yeah, I need that that very slight variation in tones, you know, I need that here. Here's 4 that are a little more random and different, and you can see some are more like shouting at you, some are a little softer. You know probably whether this kind of shade family is your jam. We're gonna cool it, we're gonna end it there. I am not going to do eyeliner today, even though I'm trying to sort of get back into doing some more liners, just playing around with many of the liners I have. I really want to see the effects of this mascara very, very clearly today. This is the new Hourglass Unlocked Instant Extensions mascara. Literally just came in the mail yesterday, have not used it, want to use it, so let's curl the lashes and give it a go. And let's not set our sights too high because oftentimes the first time I use a mascara, it's very rarely love at first sight. Anybody else that way? You know, you give it a couple weeks to warm up, get a little age on it, get a little dust on the bottle, and then you're like, oh yeah, now I can work with this. Ooh, we're talking rubber bristle, very nicely cleaned off, reminding me a lot of Benefit Bad Gal Bang. Anyone else? Anyone? Not to pat myself on the back, but they're at the very least cousins, if not sisters. One thing we gotta say thank you to Natasha Denona for is a fantastically large mirror here that you can just pop open and really see everything. Okay, so this is not gonna be a brush that really overloads your lashes. This brush does not hold a lot of product. So you really kind of need to push it into your lashes, really wiggle it in there to see some stuff coming off. But I think this bodes well for its buildability, and I think it may bode well for not like weighing me down because I do not feel like I got too much on there. So that was coat 1. I've redipped for now what I would consider to be coat 2. Okay. Magic's starting to happen. Anybody else feel this? So I'm sure you're wondering, now that Schitt's Creek is over, where do you go from here? And I think what we need to do is go back to One Tree Hill. There's about 8 million episodes of One Tree Hill. We have not finished it yet. We started it. We were on a real consistent flow with that show before Bubba was born. Then our world got turned upside down. It kind of stayed turned upside down for a while. And we just, I don't know, we were watching different things. We had like, gosh, the Bulls documentary, and we just had a lot of different things we were reaching for. But now I think I'm ready to go back. And now I've officially over-applied that. It really wants to be long, but oh, know when to stop. Okay. It was looking good right as soon as I went on with the second coat, but now it's looking a little squirrely over there. It's like what happened with that eye is like what happens when you buy avocados. It's like, okay, not ripe at all, not ready to go at all. And then 3 hours later, it's like, well, you missed your window, we're done. The lashes got done very quickly. Okay, so there's one coat. one coat over here, and you're thinking, okay, a nice little, you know, nicely lengthened, natural looking mascara. We dip back in, we go for round 2, and now I'm gonna try to know when to stop. Now I'm feeling the build. I'm feeling like just a little, it's like pulling against that first coat. It's building on itself nicely. I'm gonna try to get to every lash. But now I think that's where I should maybe stop, because you keep going and you keep getting some length, but they start sticking to one another. Maybe a bit of a learning curve with this, you know? What the heck? I'm feeling kind of like, let's just live life today. I don't care if it smudges. Let's just see what it will do. Give a light bit to the lower lashes. Now, what do we do about the lips? I feel like I want to stay with the bronze, and we do have the 3 lip euphoria. They're called gloss and balms. There are 3 of them. I think I've worn these 2. I haven't gone with the lightest one yet. I'm going to try them all on for you, and we can just kind of see what we like. The lightest one is called Tan Nude. And these do feel nice. They've got just a little flat applicator here. Look at the opacity to that. Nice little scent. What is that? I want to say mint, but not quite. Some other kind of herb. I think I needed to exfoliate my lips. I'm seeing some things. All right, so there's that Tan Nude. I don't often see myself in this kind of nude. What do you think? Not bad. Not my comfort zone, but that's okay. This next one, this is our middle child here. This is the shade called Caramel or Caramel, but I've always been a caramel person. This is like a bronzy with a super fine golden shimmer in it. Looks a little like chocolatey going on. Definitely like a medium brown. I like that. See, I see that with this eye, and I think that's completely working for me. I like that a lot, but I want to show you the deepest shade. This is called Chestnut. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Looks like kind of a rich, deep, rusty, brownish, little bit of red going on in there, little bit of that very fine golden shimmer. Liking how opaque these glosses are, liking the feel, good texture. Interesting with this shade, it's got all the glitziness that that middle shade has, but it's so dark going on the lips that on the lips I can't really see that. You see how I'm trying to make a little transfer bottom lip to top lip and then smooth it out just so I don't get too much product applied and then get streakiness and then get that kind of heavy feel. I can get on board with that depth, you know. This is not something we see so much in the summer. This is what we start to see around about September, you know, October maybe. It's a very fine line with this darkest shade. Trying not to apply too much because then you randomly just go like this, and then you can get a little bit more streaky looking. So you've got to watch yourself on that. That like formalized this look, didn't it? This was kind of casual bronzy until this darkest shade came on. And now I'm ready to put on like a more fancy outfit and get out of this top with the stretched out neckline and do something different. So that mascara really capable of giving us length, but just you don't want to go too far, especially if you don't have like super full lashes. I feel pretty happy with the coverage that our duo of ColourPop products gave us. For some reason, I was just kind of surprised to see this foundation cover as well as it did and kind of match me as well as it did. I knew I liked the concealer, could have maybe used a little more coverage in some areas, but once all the other face color steps came into play, I think it all actually looks pretty smooth. This gave us some added mattification, you know. Really excited to be using some more of this jelly blush going forward. The various Natasha Denona things, to me, like, I don't see myself getting lots of use out of this just because I kind of find myself wondering, like, what's my direction here? The bronzy shade is very fine line, don't want to use too much of it. The blush isn't quite as fully blush as I'd like it to be. I thought the cream glow was pretty subtle. Finally got, you know, some impact out of this one here. Not saying I dislike it because it honestly worked a little better than expected where this shade was concerned, but it's not my favorite little face color palette ever. The bronze palette I think is very enjoyable to use. I think it's got some very nice mattes. It does have some pretty shimmers. If you don't really value this bronzy color family so much, you may feel like it's just overkill with similar shades, but if you're really digging digging it and you like the thought of just something having a subtle nuance difference from this shade or that shade, you may have a lot of fun with it. Personally, I'm really glad I brought this one into the mix today because I think once I added this, everything made sense on the eye, and this merged the worlds of the deep with the warm. Let me know if you're interested in seeing more looks with this, if you'd just even like to see me, you know, posting more about it on my Instagram or something like that, I could do that. And then these lip colors, a really nice feeling gloss. It's not too goopy, it's not too tacky, there's moisture in it, you can really feel that, but it's not like slipping off your lips by any means. I would say the middle shade is kind of my favorite because it walks that line between the everyday look and kind of vamping up the look a little bit, but this darker shade's sort of growing on me too. Let me know your thoughts and suggestions as always in the comments section. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. I so appreciate you coming by my channel, interacting with me, sharing with your friends. It means the world. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you soon. Bye.